Here we go. All right, we are live at Self-Tape Tips Part 2 with Denise and Guy Chachkis.
Hello.
So, hello. Welcome, everybody. We have 22 and climbing. We had a nice group last week. Got so much wonderful feedback from everyone, how much they took away from it. And we thought we would offer a part 2. There's a lot of new faces, so we will review some things that were very important that we talked about last week. And of course, we'll touch on some new things. And I know Guy's got a lot of things he wants to chat about. So welcome, everybody. I'm so glad you've been attending all of our free programming. And I know we had, 260 people on Tuesday night for the industry forum. And for those of you who missed it, please email me and I will be happy to send you the webinar if you missed it. We are going to chat and then allow this to be a collaborative workshop. It does go fast, so we're going to let you ask your questions at the end. But if you can stay muted, and then when you have a question, we'll call on you, or you know how to raise your hand. That's a little. There's a little icon for that. So I'm going to introduce Guy, and he's going to tell you a little bit about what we're going to do today. Guy, take it away.
Hey guys. So for those of you who I guess don't know or weren't there for part 1, my name is Guy Chachkis. I am the owner and co-founder of RealArc. RealArc is a scene creation company. We're a production company that produces original content for actors for their demo reels. So actors come to us and we produce scenes for them that look like they're from TV or film. We write all original scripts, and we were really kind of the first company to do this about 5 to 6 years ago in the capacity that we're doing, which is cinematic looking stuff. We've shot 5,000 scenes since. I see a lot of familiar faces here as well. I'm not sure if you were there last time, but yeah, we're really passionate about what we do, and we really enjoy working with Denise on creating scenes for actors, for young actors like yourself as well. So yeah, that's about RealArc, and I guess that's my my experience when it comes to being in front of the camera and behind the camera. I used to be a young actor, just like you guys back in Israel, and I came here when I was about 17 years old to study acting and then film. But since I transitioned completely to making stuff, making movies, making TV, and filmmaking in general, creating RealArc. But I do understand what all of you go through as young actors. So it's a privilege to be here and help Denise. And thank you for having me.
Of course. So Guy and I have a program together called the Young Actors Film Experience, where we actually shoot your footage. And we were about to launch in June for the first time in Orlando on a real studio backlot, which we were super excited about. But unfortunately, yeah, we've had to postpone that. So you'll see us next June in 2021 for that program. But we do have programs in Brooklyn at the Brooklyn Navy Yard, at the RealArc Studios, where there are 6 standing sets. And we can talk more about that later. But let's get to our self-tape tips part 2. Last week, we talked a lot about the equipment. And I've spent all week following up with students and making sure, sending them links that they have the right equipment. We're talking about this, time right now in our industry, which is so unique, where everything is being self-taped or zoomed in, and you must have the right equipment. This is going to go on for longer than we expected. And even when this is over and it is safe to be outside, this still will continue because it's a way that casting directors and directors can see so many more people, and it allows opportunities for many of you who are all over the country right now piping in to, audition. So you may as well get good at it now and use this, I say downtime, but I'm busier than ever. So, you guys are busy with online school, but, you're saving a lot of time in commuting right now. So, I would say get really good at self-tapes. And, we want to make sure you don't have to spend a lot of money to do it. So, Guy, let's just briefly go over the type of equipment we're talking about.
Right. Just to briefly kind of in bullet points what we've discussed last week for people that don't know, we spoke about the shot. In terms of self-tapes, there are 2 things that you should know. There is basically your live director session or producer session that happens in front of Zoom in a live situation. Not a lot of actors actually make it to that point. But if you do make it to the point of a live session with a director or a producer or a showrunner, if it's TV or a commercial, what have you, just know that there's a few things that you can do to improve and make your quality of your live session better. Number one is have a really nice seamless backdrop. I see actually that Reina, you got your setup a little bit much, much clearer now. So make sure that you have a nice seamless background that does not have any wrinkles in it. Casting directors, industry professionals hate looking at backgrounds that have wrinkles in it. So if you do have a backdrop, make it a nice 50% gray like Sienna has over there, and make sure that it doesn't have any wrinkles. Another important thing to note is that you want to have your shot be, and this is actually a great example right now, you want it to be a medium close-up. So Reina, if you don't mind just tightening up that shot.
Let me put her on spotlight her. Yeah.
Yeah, bringing the headroom right there a little. Yeah, her headroom shouldn't be so high to the top of the image. You want to bring the frame a little down, just the camera. There we go. So you want to make sure that you have a nice medium shot that doesn't have too much headroom in it. So seamless background that is not wrinkled, a 50% gray, a blue or green is okay, but a gray is a really nice backdrop. You want to have a nice medium shot right there and be fully illuminated nicely like Sienna is. So this is for a good director, a live session with someone over Zoom. This is a fantastic setup. Very good work, very good work. You've done your homework for this. And then another part to this is actually having a pre-recorded self-tape or an audition tape. Same thing. You want to have basically all of these elements, but you may want to tinker a little bit when it comes to the lighting, making it a little bit more cinematic or a little bit more engaging, and making sure that all of the elements are there to make the best self-tape. And that includes a seamless background that is not wrinkled. You want to make sure that headroom is nice and tight. Actually, Reina, you can bring that camera a little bit more down. Yeah, you really want to make sure that it's right at the edge of her head. A little bit more.
Go down.
A little higher. Right there, around right there. Yes, a medium close-up. Right there. Yeah, you want to make sure that you're shooting on your iPhone. If you are shooting a self-tape, try not to do it on your computer. You want to shoot it on your iPhone or your smartphone. Samsung is fantastic as well. If you have a DSLR or a camera that is, that you know how to operate, then that could be fine as well. But you want to make sure that you're eliminating any distractions when shooting self-tapes. So make sure that you know how to operate the camera that you're using and that you're creating a really, really nice image. What Sienna has right there, right now.
We're not going to go into the 3-point lighting today. And we did talk about that in detail last week. And I have all of that on the recording of the first webinar. So if you missed that, you can email me and I'll send it to you. But the tripod is key to stabilize your camera. And we talked a lot about ordering, I think the way to go is with your phones right now and just a ring light on a tripod. They come in varying, expenses and sizes. So, you can start at $49, an 8-inch one, you can go on up to hundreds of dollars and, work within your budget. They will work, play around with them. If it doesn't work for you, go ahead and return it and get another one and play around with it. But right now is when you want to get that equipment really going. So I think we won't harp so much on that. We do want to talk a bit about Moodcaster app to help you record them, editing a bit, and of course, some acting and reader tips.
Right. Guys, if you have any questions also throughout this, I don't mind answering questions from the get-go. Another thing that I want to add.
Say about that because we have a lot of people on the line. If you can type your question in, this way I can field them. Otherwise, we only have till 6 o'clock, so we may run out of time. So go ahead and if you have a question, type it in the chat box and I'll get to it.
Yeah, another thing that I want to mention that Sienna did really well here, that the camera is horizontal and it's really aligned with her eye line, right? It's horizontal. It's not looking at her from below or from above. A lot of the time, when you're doing a live session such as this, you will have your camera, kind of like me right now, you'll have your computer somehow on an angle and then it will look up at you or it will look down. Try not to do that. Try to be as much as non-angled as possible. Right in the middle, down the barrel, horizontal, and Sienna is actually doing this perfectly right here. So just to mention that. So I'll talk about Moodcaster real quick. Moodcaster is an application that we developed in RealArc. We came to a problem that we needed to cast so many scenes, about 40 to 50 scenes a week, and we needed to do so really quickly. So we needed people to actually record an audition on their phone and send it to us directly. So we created this app that allows actors to create self-tapes and send it directly from that application. In that app, Moodcaster, we also allow you to connect with other actors that you may know if it's your friends, or it can actually be a professional actor, and read for each other, read lines for each other in scenes, and you can act, not you guys, but you have professional readers that can act as readers in your scene, so you can create really, really beautiful self-tapes. Check it out. It's on iOS. At the moment on Android, there are a limited amount of features, but whoever has an iPhone, it's a really great way to record your self-tapes and connect with other actors if you need any readers for your sessions, for your audition taping. Sometimes mom, sometimes dad are not the best people to read a scene with you because they're not actors. In this application, you can connect with other people in the community to help you with your auditions.
Any questions about Moodcaster, you can unmute and ask it.
And if you want to ask the questions, Denise, if you want to repeat the questions and we can keep people muted, we can do that quickly.
Yeah, sure, you can type them in the, so Brady asks, do you recommend using a halo light? And you might want to even talk about what that is.
The ring light? Yes. So we spoke about a ring light last week. Perfect. Yes. Ring light is great. The only thing with the ring light, you want to make sure that it's closer to your face. There's nothing obstructing it, of course, because you're going to be putting your phone. You want your phone or your camera to be in the middle of that ring light. That's actually why it exists in the first place. So a ring light is really good. It's going to create that nice twinkle in the eye that we really call a catch light, that it just makes your face pop a little bit more. But I would be careful of being too, you don't want to create a situation where your face is too circular, or when you get very close to a ring light, it kind of looks like a selfie. You still want to make sure that you're at a medium close-up like so, and you can definitely use a ring light, no problem.
And one thing I'm going to reiterate, do not stand directly at the back wall. This is why you have shadows. You've got to move away from the wall toward the camera until you see those shadows eliminated.
Yes, 100%. You typically want to be, if, I don't know what type of room you guys have, but you want to be about 3 feet away from the wall.
Great. Yeah. Okay, to eliminate shadows. All right. We have a question about the mics. We talked a little bit about an external mic last week. Most people don't have mics. I personally like to use an external mic because it picks up the actor, not the reader. If you are,
Can I about this?
Yep.
I would recommend one thing. This is a rule in filmmaking, and this is where a lot of student filmmakers go wrong and everything. Everybody really puts time and effort into the picture. But the real rule is, the professional rule is, if you don't have great sound, no one will care or watch your tape. So the most important thing that you can do is invest as much as you can in the sound quality, and then the picture quality will follow. So that is a main rule for life. Shoot with an iPhone, but get a great mic, okay? I'm gonna put actually a link to a good microphone on the Apple site. You don't have to use that. It's $199. I know it's expensive, and I know, considering what's happening right now in the world, it's not the cheapest thing to do. But as I mentioned, if you really invest in great sound, your self-tape is gonna pop above all other self-tapes that people receive. There's nothing worse than getting a self-tape and the sound is just echoey, it's not present. You really wanna be present.
Guy, is this a lavalier mic or a directional?
This is a lavalier mic. I'm dropping it right now into the chat. Now this is an Apple, so this is for iPhones. I'm sorry guys, I'm a Mac user, so I'm very familiar with those products. Great mic. Yeah, it's a lavalier microphone for sure.
Now there's a very inexpensive lavalier mic as well that Paulson makes that I also think, for those on a budget, I don't know what you think about it, Guy, but I can post that link as well. But I'm not seeing where you just posted your link, so.
I put it in the chat.
Put it in the chat. Okay. Oh, there it is. Okay. So, great.
Somebody asked about voiceovers. Yes, I mean, if you have this mic, you can use this mic for everything. Sometimes with voiceovers, you wanna try a different type of sound capturing system. They do have or microphone. If you want it to be a super cardioid or a cardio microphone, we're not going to get into all that stuff. But actually, if you go into Apple and search microphones, so apple.com and search microphones, you'll see some really, really good mics that you can browse. And they give you the suggestion if this should be like for podcasting, which would be a great voiceover microphone, or for anything else. But typically, this lavalier microphone will be great for a voiceover audition, no problem.
And then Lauren asks, how about a VidPro lavalier mic, which I'm not familiar with.
How about a pro lavalier microphone? At RealArc, for example, we use anything by, this is a Sennheiser mic. So this is actually will be a very, very good microphone. If you're looking to getting a pro lavalier microphone, you're starting to look at a secondary system for capturing sound. And that will just get you into a complete rabbit hole. So if you're not using an iPhone and you're using a camera and you want to you're using a DSLR, you would probably have to get a lavalier microphone that connects to that sends from a transmitter to a receiver, and that receiver needs to get to the camera somehow. If that's your situation, email me after and I can give you a nice workflow on what to get. But I don't think most people here would be doing this. So, but if you do have that question, please email me and we'll discuss that.
No, I think if you don't want to spend a lot and the other reason to get that external mic is just so you're not picking up the reader and you're 100%. Picking up yourself. So I'll put a link on there as well. A much less expensive that I've had good experience with. It's by Paulson. I think.
Yes. That's great. Now, again, in the end of the day, and I said this last week, it comes down to talent. And everybody go watch the YouTube video that I shared last week by Emma Stone, where she got, basically was her audition tape for Easy A, the movie that kind of made her. And she's shooting, she shot the audition tape in her bedroom, on her bed, with the worst type of camera ever. I think it was her computer camera. And she got the role because at the end of the day, it really comes down to talent. You have the talent, you're going to get the role. Doesn't matter how the picture quality or sound quality is going to be. If they see something in you that matches what they need, right, you fulfill that need that they have, you're going to get the role. But what we're doing with all the equipment and the mics, you're trying to eliminate distractions, right? So the more you can eliminate distraction and the industry professional, the casting professional can see you clearly, the more chances you have to get it. That's it. Really what it is.
All right. I just put in another mic there, which is a $49 mic. And again, not the quality Guy's talking about, but I'm
sure it's still going to be great. It's still going to be great.
And
absolutely.
Pick up the subject, not the reader. So, yes. All right. So any other questions about equipment? You can probably write it in there. I did put my email address in there for those of you that want me to send last week's self-tape seminar. So I want to talk about acting for self-tapes. A guy had posted that Emma Stone, where the quality wasn't great, but yet, her acting was, and of course won her the role. And that's how her career started. So I'm just seeing if there's any other questions here. Let me just grab this last question. We used a corded mic and hide through its shirt when taping. It eliminates the reader being louder than the actor. That's fine too. Someone else can use a green screen. we're talking about the blue and the gray. The green screen is not pleasant to look at. The green screen has one purpose, and we're not using that purpose to put virtual backgrounds on. Guy, do you want to talk?
Yes. Yeah. You don't want to use a virtual background. I would say that more now that we're changing, our industry is completely changing. The more we're going to be, and the more casting directors are going to be watching self-tapes, the better it would be for the eyes to give them something that is really easy to look at and doesn't distract them. So the best thing to do is what Sienna had, although she's now going through all these things, is a nice 50% gray, neutral gray. A little texture in it is great, but gray would be the best color that you can get for your seamless background. Now, some people, for example, Bridie, is it Bridie Schwartz?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She has, I'm sure, a patch of that wall that is clean, that doesn't have pictures on it. That color wall is perfect. Emily, you have this nice, like, what would you call that, that wall? I don't know, sapphire green. That's fine. You can do that as long as you're, away from the wall. That should be fine. But you want to have a nice seamless background that is not distracting. Yeah.
All right, I just want to answer a black background. Somebody asks, I have not enjoyed watching scenes in front of black backgrounds. I prefer white over black. And Guy, you can speak about black.
Yeah, the reason is because sometimes you can disappear into the black background as well as disappear into a white background. Depends also on what you're wearing. If I was against a black background, I would probably disappear this part of my body. And yeah, I mean, there's no real, I wouldn't use it. I just wouldn't use it. Yeah.
Okay. I just want to, a lot of people are interested in doing voiceovers and talking about equipment. And your agents will tell you tape in a closet or under a blanket or in a car because of this noise echo blocking. Guy, do you want to speak about that? Noise blocking for equipment questions for voiceovers.
That's a good question, actually. And I'm going to drop there's a piece of equipment that you can get that is not expensive, that you don't have to go into your car for. It's you put your mic, your face right into it. It's this sound block, and you just say your lines into this device, and it's a sound damping. I'm going to send you right now. I'll find the link for it. But yeah, I mean, when you're doing a voiceover, you want it to sound as professional as possible.
Excellent. I love that.
I'm going to look for it. Yeah.
Okay, great. While you're doing that, we're going to talk a little bit more in detail today about the actor and the reader. And Rachel and Carden ask, what are some tips for catching the casting director's attention in the first few seconds? Great question. But let's talk about, acting in general, right? For film. Many of you have done a lot of theater. For some of you, acting for camera is new. And what you'll learn the more you do it is it's subtle and simple. And if you attended the webinar the other night, you've heard from Broadway directors, you heard from casting directors, agents and managers, please keep it simple, no movement. A 3/4 shot. For theater auditions, maybe even a little bit more, but we don't want to see your full body. We don't want to see distractions. We don't want to see you doing tons of movement. It's an inside job, right? And those of you who have worked with me know, I hate the question, how do I say that line? Or if a director says to you, bigger, better, it isn't about being bigger. That's too general. Go deeper, right? What is going on for me right now? What do I need to have happen? It's a very deep, life and death answer. Otherwise, why are we watching this little clip or this 1-minute clip? So in whatever you are taping, you've got to get to the meat of it. And, I'll be teaching a class just on those character formula questions, those main questions of what's going on, what do I want, what's in my way, personalizing it and going for it. And that's what you've got to capture in this. So going back to that question, tips for catching the casting director's attention. Well, in the first few seconds, right, they see hundreds of these tapes. What are they looking for? So Guy, let me turn that over to you to start that
What they're looking for?
conversation. Oh yeah, I think we're catching their attention in the first few seconds as a filmmaker and director.
Well, they're looking for you to read the instructions. So that it sounds very simple, but you have to make sure that you're following exactly what they're asking for, what they ask for. If it's a slate, the slate has to be exactly what they ask for. Every audition is different because every film, every TV, every commercial, every piece of content is different. So you really have to make sure that you are nailing exactly what they wanted in your audition tape. A lot of auditions that I've seen, a lot of auditions get tossed out if they're not following the instructions of what they were given. What I'm looking for. So that's number one. Number two is nobody really sees an audition tape past 10 seconds. That is a fact. If they like it, if they like you, if they like what they're seeing, they're going to watch past those 10 seconds. But and it's freeing, right? To know that, well, if you're not specifically what they're looking for, then they're going to move on to the next thing, right? Doesn't mean that you're not good. Doesn't mean that you didn't do your job. It just means that you're not what they need for that role. So they'll watch the first 10 seconds of it and they're going to move on. The ways to keep them engaged and interested are obviously all the technical aspects of it, right? Which are everything that we discussed with the seamless background, with the sound, with all that stuff, being horizontal, making sure that you know what you're doing. But it's not forgetting your lines, being on your lines. With TV, there's sticklers. TV, you have to learn line by line and not forget. Every TV writers and TV I don't know why, but TV especially, you have to learn every single word and, not forget it or change it. In TV, it's very weird. In film, you can actually be a little bit more, it's a little bit more malleable, especially in independent films and things like that. You personalize it a little bit more and you have a little bit more freedom. But in TV, for some reason, you have to make sure if you have a TV audition for a pilot or anything like that, the people that actually get the job are the people that can personalize, but can also iterate the lines or the word for word the way that it is. So you have to know your lines really, really well. So if I'm casting, for example, a TV show, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a person that listened to instructions, recorded exactly what I wanted, recorded the words that I've written, right? Because it's respect for the writers. And then I'm engaged in the scene. Then I'm doing everything that I can with the tools that I have to make the best quality product. That's really what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I want to speak about, where I come from as an acting teacher.
No props. Sorry.
Yeah.
I see props. I say no props, but sorry to cut you off, Denise. But it depends what the prop is, right? If the prop is necessary for the scene, right? And it's written in the directions and and you always have to listen to what the directions. If in the directions they say, please use this, or, it's don't have a gun, right? You don't have to have a gun in the scene. But if it's something that is very imperative and they written in the instructions, please, blah, 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 then please do it. Yes, 100%. But as a rule of thumb, usually no props.
And that is difficult because it is much easier to act with props, okay?
Yes.
And auditioning isn't easy. And that's one of the reasons it's not easy, because pantomiming can be very distracting. And if you're not good at it, it messes up what you're doing. But if it's important to the scene, it advances the scene, I say, something that very small and not distracting. So if you're doing a gun, this is so unrealistic.
Right.
This is worse. The phone is the one prop you are allowed to use.
Yes.
if you're using it. And that brings me to, as an acting teacher, action. Okay. Keeping your scenes active and doing. And that doesn't mean you have to move around and do a whole lot of things. When I say doing, and that goes back to your question, Rachel, how do you capture someone's attention from the beginning of the scene? Well, what about entrances? Okay. Is it okay to walk on to the scene? I think if it makes sense for your character and you're walking on, sometimes that can be very powerful. Be careful though that it doesn't do an unfocus on the screen. But that moment before your scene begins of what am I doing? I worked with someone today on a callback for a film, and she had the first line of the scene. But that scene doesn't begin on her first line. It begins before her first line because the text is the last thing to happen. So why is she saying the first line? Well, because she noticed a boy. He was cute, got the confidence up, and then she was able to speak the first line. We want to see that moment before of, I see the boy, he's cute, I'm going to now speak. That first moment of action. I think is what personally draws me in.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Denise, when I see audition tapes by young actors, the thing that really catches my eye the most is seeing an internal life and a thought process. A lot of the time, especially with young actors, there's a little bit of a disconnect there where, we need to just say our lines,
it's
right?
Robotic. They're robots.
Robots. We're cute enough. We're pretty enough. We have our ponytail. We have our, whatever. We look like we're commercial. But then they will fall flat because it's just like, let me just say my line and that's it. And I am over this audition. The thing that actually that captures my attention is seeing an actor going through a thought process. And maybe before answering the line, seeing how they get there in their eyes, in their thought. Even if the pause was too long, even if the thing, as long as I see a life behind, right, a character, a thought process, then it would catch me, it would catch my eye. You know what I mean? Even if
making a decision, right?
Yes.
Sometimes before you say the line, we want to see the decision. That is a moment. Those moments when you are not speaking are golden, and it separates a novice actor from a masterful actor.
Yes, 100%. Another thing about, I'm not sure if, all of you are pretty professional if you work with Denise. But, sometimes with auditions, there's a question that comes up. Should I have my lines down? Can I hold my lines? Try as much as you can to not have lines in your hand. It doesn't mean that you can't help yourself. Sometimes you can put Post-it notes on your lights, right? So if you need to help yourself with some Post-it notes on lights, go ahead and do that. But you want to make sure that you're not holding a script in your hand.
This is so important to talk about. Now, You'll see more and more casting directors will say, must be memorized, must be memorized. They don't want to necessarily make life difficult for you. There's a reason behind it. There are two reasons behind it. One is because they don't want to see the top of your head. So if I'm looking down at my script, you're never going to see me, right? That doesn't help them. Two is it helps you as an actor. Because if you don't, and those of you who study with me know, you must be memorized, period, in order to work. Adults are good at, and I'm really good at it. I know how to manage a script and talk, I've just learned how to do that. Most kids can't do that. But as an actor, it frees you up. If you're not thinking of the next line, you can be totally engaged and connecting with your reader. If you are about the script, every time you look down, you are disconnecting. Every time. It is about connection. So do yourself that service of getting good at memorizing. It's going to help you as an actor. It's not like they're being, giving you extra work to do. It's really important as an actor that's what acting is. There's a wonderful Ian McClellan. Do you know this one? Ricky Gervais and Ian McClellan. Guy, the next time we do one of these, we've got to start off with that video. It's so brilliant. You guys can Google the Ian McClellan video on what is acting. And Ricky Gervais, who was did the original Office in England, he says, well, what is acting? I have no idea. And Ian McClellan says, well, you memorize words and say them. And you are not to have the script the first night of stage. No scripts allowed. It's so brilliant. But of course you have to have your lines memorized, because then you're an act. If you've got lines, you're acting, right? If you're reading lines, you're acting. You learn those lines, put them away, forget about them, and play the scene. Acting in a nutshell, if it was only that easy.
Yeah, for sure. There's something very freeing about it being a recording too. You're not on stage, right? So many of us probably have these theater nightmares or acting nightmares where you're on stage and you forget all your lines. You're not on stage. So you can actually relax into it and say, yeah, I can screw up 500 times. You know what I mean? The fact that it's recorded gives you that freedom. Sometimes people think, well, it's recording. The moment that red button goes up, it's like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Relax into it. You can always record it again, and edit it together. And that is a very important thing that we can talk about. Doesn't have to be today. We can maybe do a real class where we can talk about creating scenes. And what I would love to do is, my passion is doing this, is obviously creating and filmmaking, is somehow maybe if everyone had a scene, maybe we can do a class where everybody had a scene or something like that, and we can actually record and create scenes for them remotely. I'll have to figure out how to do this, but I think we can. I think we can do something cool.
Yeah, I love that we're talking about, obviously, the acting. We talk a lot about equipment, but we really need to talk about the acting, guys. Look, we can't talk about it in a lecture class and have you be the actor that you need to be. This is why you need to be in class and you need to be training and studying. This downtime for us, where we're doing online seminars, affords us to lecture and to talk, and all that's great, but we need to be in action, working with other actors. And right now, we're all working online. And those of you who are taking my online class, there's a lot to be said in it. You're doing a lot of homework and we're reviewing your stuff. What we miss is that, connection and that togetherness of working together. I don't know when that's going to happen again, to be honest with you, because even when we go back in the fall, are we allowed to be within 6 feet of each other? We may not be. We don't know yet what the new rules are going to be. So, but please take acting classes if you're not. I know most of you are my students, but it's so important that you are working on your craft, and like we talked about, internalizing, having a life. You guys know it as backstory. Not my favorite word to use, but that's okay. Knowing who you are, why where were you before the scene began? You have a whole life before that scene began. So again, going back to that question, interesting entrances and exits. I want to do a class just in that, interesting entrances and exits. I do believe interest in the scene, you can't stand up and sit down because that's too jarring. You either have to be sitting or standing, and you have to stay within your frame. But, again, walking into a frame or walking out of a frame, I think can be impactful, just depending on what it is. Let me just get to a few questions here. When doing your slate, should it be in we'll talk about slates for a minute, but that's piecing things together. And the slate, look, casting directors in the live audition have even done away with slates because they have your name already. If you're working on a very dramatic piece and you come in and you have to slate, it completely zaps you of your preparation, and good casting directors know that. So they'll have you slate at the end. But when you're doing your self-tapes, just follow directions. If they say slate, put the slate in the beginning and then do your scene. Sometimes they'll say put the slate at the end. I tape my actors' slate separately, scene 1, scene 2, and then I just piece them all together. So let's see. We've got about 20 minutes. We're still great. I want to spend a little time on, Guy, something that you and I had been speaking about in terms of how actors can start to get the, knowledge and the extra stuff that there's so much out there right now, like how they can take advantage of all that. You want to speak about that a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. So with RealArt, we partnered with Actors Launchpad, which is an online resource for online classes with casting directors, agents, and managers, and filmmakers, professional Hollywood filmmakers. It's a place where you can actually watch and participate in these types of Zoom Q&As and classes. It's also a place where you can get great headshot printing that sends directly to your door. And it's all a subscription. It's $39 a month, and you get everything that I just mentioned for free or part of that subscription. So I just told Denise that for Denise Simon students or people like you, if you put in the promo code Denise Simon, all caps, you'll get the first month for $1. We couldn't do a free one, but $1. And it's really, really worth it. Go to actorslaunchpad.com. The types of teachers that we have this month for our youth program is Donna McKenna, casting director. We have Barry Shapiro, casting director, who does thousands of commercials for young actors. We have Natasha from Take 3 Talent, also Eddie Raybon from Take 3 Talent. And we have Malloy Levy, who's also an agent from DDO for young artists. So you can actually, parents, it's a great thing to be part of. They're doing parent-specific Q&As classes as well. So check out actorslaunchpad.com. Denise Simon, all caps, will give you $1 for the first month free. It's kind of the COVID special right now. But it's really, really worth it. It's with the headshots, the way that it works, it's $25 for headshots. And you get 25 headshots mailed directly to your door. And you get also audition taping. We have readers that can do Zoom sessions with you. And you can book audition taping. All the information is there. I'm going to stop plugging it right now, but it's a cool thing to do. So go check it out.
Yeah, we're not here to, look, Guy and I are in business. Our business is sort of, quiet right now. We're happy to offer you as much free programming as we can. We do hope that you'll take some of our paid classes when, you can. But in the meantime, look, it is not a substitute for acting training.
No.
These are educational. You will learn tips, but the bottom line is acting, foundation building, being a good actor. You must be in a good acting class where you are comfortable and safe, working with other actors that are disciplined. And this is where you're going to grow. And this is what's going to make your tape compelling and you compelling as an actor and book you the jobs you need to. Sometimes, look, guys, 9 out of 10 times it's, do you fit the bill? Okay. But then you've got to be a good actor. And we hear a lot, you're too green. You don't have enough experience. How do you get experience? Do student films, come to the Real Arc tapes that we, the classes that we do, you're getting experience in there on a real set working. So it is a catch-22. You do need to get experience. Anything that you can be doing. And when the world goes back, student films, I'm so big on student films. It may not be the best film. It may not be the best written, but it's good quality and you look good. The other way to look good is you pay for it, right? This is what Real Arc does. But yes, I mean, my daughter was an ice skater and the more competitive she got, the more expensive those skates got, but it got her where she needed to be until she gave it all up.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Guy.
No, I mean, I would definitely say The Real, and I'm not plugging Real Arc. I'm just saying you go to any company to produce something. You need to have that, The Real, the demo, the one scene is a pillar piece in your marketing materials. I see some people that are already, Bella, how are ya? Bella May, hey, how you doing? Fantastic scene. Like, I wish I could show everyone your scene. I would love to hear, what's going on with you now. I mean, obviously, we all know you're at home, can't go anywhere. But it's very important for casting directors, industry professionals to see you not only on a seamless background, they need to see you in action. They need to see you on a set. They need to know that you have that experience because in the end of the day, they also need to build trust with you. A big part of seeing a professional looking piece for an industry professional is for them to say, they actually worked on something, right? They were in something. So it's very important to get at least one thing that can show you in a very professional light. And there are other companies like Real Arc. I'm not saying do it with Real Arc. You can do it. There's companies like Showreels NYC. Is a fantastic company as well. There are definitely other options, but make sure that you're creating something and keep creating on TikTok and social media. That's a big one, actually. When we were casting, we just cast, we cast 2 years ago, a pretty big short film, a very big one with, we had one semi kind of like famous person in it. But it was for a client for Real Arc, and we used a very big casting agency to work on this for us. And this is for adults, but also for young people like you, for young adults. When we received names for the offers for whoever we're going to actually try to cast in the big roles with the name. They give us their name and then their Instagram handle so we can see their following. That is a reality. The reality is that when people consider you now into casting, not the very young kids here, but young adults and whoever, they want to see that you're active in your social media. I know it's contended if kids should be very, early on in social media, and I would say no. But they want to know that the kids are creating. People look at TikTok, people look at Instagram. They are looking into those things.
We talked a lot about this on the webinar with, some very big casting directors the other night, and that they all look on social media. Okay, so it is important, but parents, these are kids. It's important that you do it safely. Lucy asks, should it be public on TikTok?
Yeah, this is very, I can't answer that because I'm not a parent yet. But it's tough, right? Maybe no, but there's so many ways to create on TikTok and download it and maybe post it somewhere. I don't know. But creation is a very big part. Self-creation is a very big part to what gets us roles in this industry.
It is so key that, yes, we know you act and sing and dance, but your special skills is important on there. And when you go into the room, that conversation that you're having, a lot of you guys will see, it's called, not a chemistry test, personality test, personality reel. They want to know, tell me about yourself. What are you into? What are your hobbies? What's the most embarrassing thing that ever happened to you? What's the funniest thing that ever happened to you? Put together that and put that on your website or up on your, okay? But creating your own content. I'm doing a class in it taught by Travis Greisler, Broadway director. He was on the panel the other night. It's on Thursdays. I saw that someone just signed up for that. Yay. It's 4 Thursdays in April. And Travis will help you develop, 10 minutes of content and not just acting, right? Do you sing? Do you play an instrument? Do you tell jokes? Do you want to do stand-up? Do you read poet? Anything that you do that can be helpful for you. And we're going to put it together in, if not a public format in person, something online where we'll help you develop something to put onto your website or for your reel. So we want to know they want to know who you are, what makes you tick, what makes you interesting.
And that's why it's important also when you're doing your slate, unless otherwise specified, be yourself. That's their one moment to see who you are as a person, not the character. So when you are doing the slate, it's very important to know that at that moment, they just want you to say your name like a normal person, which is very hard to do.
No personality slates unless you're asked. They don't want to see that. Yeah. So I'm just trying to see if there's any other questions. I know Adam's mom has so many questions. We're always happy to answer them. Keep the questions coming. I love it. Kids, I'd love to hear from you guys. We're hearing so much from your parents. It's so great to hear from you guys how we can be helpful to you. What I'd love to know is what kind of programs can we offer, whether they're free or whether, they're for a fee, of what would be helpful for you guys for us to offer out there. If you guys have ideas, you can go ahead and type that into the chat box.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys want more in the direction of filmmaking and upgrading your equipment and doing all those things, I can definitely, and I would love to offer, Denise doesn't have to if you don't want to be part of that, but if you do want to do that, I'll be happy to help you all and we can do a class.
I'd love to do any class with you, Guy. Guy is awesome. I'm so grateful that we met. I don't know how many years it's been, but.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, and we've just come together and, are having so much fun creating content for kids and working with kids. So Brighty is soaking up all this info. I love it. I love that. Love to hear that, Brighty.
Class in it, VO class, yeah. We actually have VO classes on Actors Launchpad taught by professional voiceover actors. Actually, one of the people that help start RealArc is a professional voiceover actor. And he is doing all those VO classes on Actors Launchpad. So check that out too. Yeah. And for kids too. When you get onto Actors Launchpad, there's actually, you'll see there are classes that are rated for 18 plus, and then there are classes that are rated basically 18 and below, or specifically for young actors as well. There is something there that is called the Actors Gym, which just allows you to go on there and just perform if you want. We also have improv and stand-up comedy. No dialect classes, but
I am putting a dialect. I think it's going to be Saturday, April 11th. I have a dialect class coming. Standard British, Irish, and Southern. The three most important dialects that I find kids have to use. Russian is coming into the picture as well, and we'll touch on Russian as well. So I'm looking at possibly Saturday, April 11th. I'm trying to make it work for everybody. So trying to get away from some of the weekday stuff. You guys tend to be real busy Zoom dancing all week after school, but so I think I'll do a Saturday. Someone wants to teach the Irish. Bella, of course, that'd be great. Sure, come on and teach some Irish. More on camera classes, that's great. So I have a sketch comedy class on Saturdays, starting a week from Saturday with a wonderful improv comedian, Michael. So come join us on Saturdays for improv class. In this quarantine team, voiceover classes equipment is relevant for Rachel, I'm not understanding your question. In this quarantine time, voiceover class equipment is relevant for kids too.
Yes.
Yes, the answer is yes.
Sure.
Josh wants to know, what hobbies would you say casting directors like the most? No, Josh, it's not about what they like the most. It's whatever you do. Whatever you do, you share. Don't do things because someone thinks it's interesting. Do things that you love to do. And we talked about this the other night about creating content or what to do in this downtime. Sure, if you're someone who lives, breathes, and eats filmmaking or acting, go for it. But if what you need is just to chill and ride a bike outside and not do this right now, go with your heart. Do what you need to do to make you a full, interesting human being.
Yes, if you like to make sourdough, do it.
I'm cooking, so I bought an air fryer. I could not tell you how happy I am. It's my new thing. Every night, I want to do like a cooking show on air frying.
I don't know if air frying is a hobby.
Well, I don't know. It just became mine.
No, I know. Well, I started my starter. So I will be making sourdough bread loaves for everyone. Send me your address. I will send you a bread. Make sure that you disinfect it when it gets to your door.
If you're joining late and you want to get the link to the recording, of course, I've recorded last week. I'm recording this one. Just give me a day or so because the uploading is just ruining my, my internet was, like I said, is down. So I get back to everybody. Just shoot me an email. Don't do it on the chat. If you need something from me, email me. I get back to you as quickly as I can on that. So we've got just a few minutes. Let's see, Guy, what do we want to wrap up with today?
There was something that I wanted to touch on in terms of sending your tapes. If you are going to record, even if it's with the iPhone or on a camera, you have to make sure that you're sending in a way that casting directors are used to receiving it. And you want to send it with either WeTransfer.com, all right? You want to send it through WeTransfer, or listen to what they actually requested. Don't send them Vimeo links if they didn't want it. A lot of the time they want to download the video as well. So you want to use WeTransfer. A Dropbox link is also very good. But you want to make sure that you're not doing it directly from your phone. Don't send just rogue clips, right, in an email to whatever. You want to make it so it's very easy for them to open the file, because if they don't, you're not going to be seen. If they ask you to upload it to a specific website to be able to see it, you have to do it. But WeTransfer is a very good way to transfer files.
Yeah, WeTransfer and Dropbox. Don't do mail drop, okay? It just doesn't work. And my students are texting me. Everyone in my class knows they have to self-tape and then send it in. Don't text. Really get used to, you don't have to, you can do free sends on WeTransfer Dropbox. If you're going to do it a lot, you may want to buy a small subscription to it to give yourself more space as well.
Right.
Rachel says, voiceover actors are the only ones working right now. Thoughts on that? Look, there's a lot of voiceover work, and if you've got because you can set up the equipment in your home easily and record from home right now. But look, it's all going to change. As soon as we can get back, it's going to be booming, okay? Busier than ever. So be prepared. Use this time right now to take the classes that you normally couldn't take before. Take advantage of the free programming that's on there, and to write and, reflect, but be ready when this business comes back, because it will come back. It will come back. It's going to be crazy busy. So, when we say right now is it's not going to be forever. This is, maybe voiceover actors are working now. So take some voiceover classes if you want, but it's all of a sudden, this will be gone, we'll be back, and you'll be that much more knowledgeable and skilled, hopefully. So, any other thoughts?
Yeah, I see. What is a good editing app for the iPhone? I think iMovie. I think there are iMovies on an iPhone.
Yep.
A little tough. Check out Moodcaster, another plug here, but it allows you to do all these things very, very easily. Self-tape, record, and actually send out a link, a shareable, downloadable link directly from Moodcaster.
And Moodcaster, it's free.
It's free. It's all free. Yeah. You can actually connect with your best friend if you want to be a reader in your scene directly from Moodcaster. You can just share a join link, and you do your audition right there, so your parents can actually have a moment to breathe. But it's free. It's absolutely free, so you can definitely check it out.
Yeah, be careful when you're doing your scenes with readers, though. The kids, you're not using kids as the reader. Casting directors don't like that. They just want to hear an adult quiet. They don't want anyone who's trying to act or take attention. So be mindful of that as the reader as well.
Yes.
Please, I'd love to hear from you guys. You can send me an email on what other classes you would like to hear from Guy and or myself. Either pay classes or free classes. We'd love to be able to put out what interests you. So I'm so excited that we've had so many kids on these calls, Guy. It's so wonderful. I look forward to every week.
The question how to connect, you can always reach out to me, guy@realarc.com. That is Guy at...
I got it.
Oh, there we go. Here we are.
And we are the Young Actors Film Experience.
Mm-hmm.
Also, if you want to look at our summer program, because we will have summer programming in Brooklyn.
We're very excited. Yeah.
Filmexperience.com. There we go. And we have some clips on there, and I'm not sure if Bellis is on there yet, but some kids that you'll recognize. And the Elias kids are on here, and they worked with us a few summers ago. So there's AJ saying.
Yes. What's up, AJ?
Well, guys, stay safe, stay healthy, stay inside, and stay connected, stay in touch. We are both easy to reach. I always will get back to you. Thank you so much, Guy.
That's it. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Bye. Thank you. Thank you.